Well, thank everyone for joining this morning. Obviously, if you heard from the first panels, the defense industrial base and the partnership between the United States and Türkiye has never been more important. Good morning. My name is Greg Bloom. I'm the Chief Operating Officer of the Jones Group and a board member of the American-Turkish Business Roundtable. I really wanted to thank you all for coming today and supporting this bilateral relationship. I'm honored to be on this panel with these esteemed leaders here and to talk about the important topic of emerging and disruptive technologies. This topic is not just critical to the United States and Türkiye, but to the entire NATO alliance. As we are witnessing every day in Ukraine, new weapon systems are being fielded at pace and at scale. We're also watching firsthand the fragility of the industrial base as countries are faced with increasing shortages of military stock. For NATO alliance to be successful, we must leverage off each other's partners' defense industrial base and seek opportunities to cooperate. We've recently seen positive examples of partnership with the announcement of the U.S. partnering with Türkiye to produce 155mm munitions for Ukraine. This is just one of many examples of opportunities for the U.S. and for Türkiye industrial bases to partner and collaborate. Cooperation is not just critical on the battlefield, but it's also critical on the factory floor. As you heard in the first political fireside chat, Ambassador Bass spoke of the pace of innovation on the battlefield. The ambassador cited Türkiye's collaboration as a critical enabler to Ukraine's initial defense success, and Türkiye will be a major enabler to protect Ukraine's territorial sovereignty. And it's through that partnership and the partnership in NATO that the success of Ukraine will be felt. We are fortunate to have four esteemed industry leaders here this afternoon to share with you their thoughts on emerging and disruptive technologies and the shaping of the future defense industrial cooperation. On my third to the left, we have Dr. Mehmet Najar. Dr. Najar is the general manager of Havelsan. Dr. Najar joined Havelsan in 2017, where he served as an assistant general manager of training and simulation, board member, and most recently appointed general manager in 2020. Dr. Najar has served as the chairman of the board of the Electronic Warfare Systems Engineering Trading, Inc., the chairman of Quantum 3D in Silicon Valley, and is a member of the board of directors and vice chairman of Cornea Aerosystems Industry and Trade, which is a joint venture between Turkish Technique and Havelsan. Dr. Najar graduated from the Department of Computer Engineering from Trakya University and then went on to earn master's degrees from Gazi University, Syracuse University, and followed by a PhD from Indiana. After earning his doctorate, Dr. Najar returned to Turkey to teach at the Harran University, where he led several engineering departments and was the director of IT and secretary general. To my immediate left, we have Mark Weber. Mark is the Vice President, International Global Programs and Policy at Lockheed Martin, where he is responsible for managing a diverse portfolio of issues affecting Lockheed Martin's global programs and business, including international trade, export control policy and sanctions, export financing, advocacy, global supply chain, foreign direct investment, and other international regulatory issues. Pretty full plate there, Mark. Before joining Lockheed Martin in 2011, he held several senior positions within the U.S. government, including Special Assistant to the President and Senior Director for South and Central Asia on the National Security Council staff, and Special Advisor for National Security Affairs in the Office of the Vice President of the President of the United States. Mr. Weber also served as the Senior Advisor to the Undersecretary for Industry and Security as a Special Assistant to the Assistant Secretary for Export Administration. Mr. Weber received his JD from George Washington University Law School and is a member of the Maryland State Bar, and he earned his master's and BA from American University in Washington, D.C. Welcome, Mark. At the far end, we have Ahmet Hakan. Mr. Hakan serves as the U.S. representative of TAİK Industries in Atlanta, Georgia. Mr. Hakan joined TEI in 2019 and has previously served as the company's sales and marketing manager in Türkiye, where he spearheaded global sales initiatives for commercial and military jet parts, MRO services. Upon transitioning to the United States, Mr. Hakan assumed the role of business development leader and sales for the America. Prior to working at TEI, Mr. Khan spent 11 years at General Electric supporting GE Power, GE Aviation, and GE Energy. A great training ground there. Mr. Khan has also worked for the Worley Parsons in Los Angeles, California, where he served as plant manager, supervising operations and maintenance activities, and later at the Zorlo Energy Group of companies in Istanbul. Mr. Khan earned his bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering from Hacettepe University, a master's from the City University of New York, and an MBA from Taub University. Two over is Keith Webster. Keith is president of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce's Defense and Aerospace Council and the Federal Acquisition Council and vice president of the chamber. He is responsible for guiding the focus of DAC to strengthen U.S. defense and aerospace industries by influencing both domestic and international policy on behalf of its members. Before joining the chamber, Mr. Webster served as the Department of Defense as the Director of International Cooperation and has years of experience in foreign sales of military equipment and services, international agreements, international scientific cooperation, and technology. Mr. Webster was formerly the CEO of Hensoldt U.S., a former member of the board of directors of Hensoldt, and is a member of the strategic advisory boards of Mercure Global and Lone Star Analysis. Keith received his MBA or his MA in International Relations from Catholic University and his BS from Townsend State University. Now to the panel. As Mark Twain said, God gave the U.S. war to teach America geography. What of the wars in Europe and the Middle East, disruptive technologies, and collaborating with sovereign partners? I'll kick it off first to you, Mark.
Check. Okay. All right.
Hot mic. Sorry.
Thank you, Greg. Great pleasure to be here. Great quote from certainly great. Just want to say thank you for being here on behalf of Lockheed Martin. Thank you, Keith. Thank you, Amit. Thank you, Amit. An incredibly distinguished panel up here and a lot of friendly faces in the audience. It's my great pleasure to be here. I thought I'd begin just by setting the context for Lockheed Martin's experience in Turkey and our over 70 years of historical experience of working in Turkey. Lockheed Martin has played a crucial role in strengthening Turkey's defense and security capabilities through our aircraft, helicopters, and other security systems that we have worked with our Turkish partners. We take great pride in those long-standing relationships spanning joint ventures, industrial partnerships, and cooperative efforts, which have helped sustain and build Turkey's defense industry and contribute to economic growth and exports. Lockheed Martin was a founding partner with Turkish aircraft industries to establish Turkish Aerospace, TA, which has contributed to the growth of the defense industry in Turkey. And TA is now, of course, a leading aerospace company developing aircraft, helicopters, and satellites, marking a milestone in aerospace innovation and collaboration. TA is, of course, just one of the joint ventures and partnerships with Turkish industry. We, of course, are partnered with both Havelsan up here, and TEI is a partner on many of our programs as well. And I should mention Alp Aviation, Kale Aerospace, and many others within the Turkish defense community that help us with our programs. It is a true partnership. Quality of work from these companies in Turkey, in my experience over the years, has been and continues to be outstanding, exceptional in many cases, and we appreciate the invaluable contributions of our Turkish partners to the global supply chain, not just Turkish platform. And we look forward to further strengthening our relationship with the Turkish Air Force and industry through the F-16 Block 70 and Viper upgrades. Turkey's F-16 fleet, as you may know, is the second largest in NATO. It's a cornerstone of the 21st century security battle space, enhancing Turkey's defense capabilities and supporting NATO missions with a steadfast commitment to interoperability and shared security objectives. The F-16 Block 70 and Viper upgrades will provide the Turkish Air Force with advanced capabilities to meet their strategic needs and support allied security cooperation. These are challenging times, Greg, as you referenced. we face unprecedented threats. It is the reliance on our allies and coalition partners that will be the difference and be critical, so critical to our success. U.S. industrial partners like Lockheed Martin stand ready, steadfast in providing the necessary capabilities, and we see great opportunities in strengthening the allied defense industrial base, ensuring and building upon the quality of the supply chain, and meeting a growing global requirement set across all emerging technologies and traditional technologies. And I know we're going to get to that in conversation later, but I would just say I see the future with U.S. Turkey defense cooperation as having great potential, and enhancing collaboration between our two industries is certainly a priority for Lockheed Martin. I very much look forward to the discussion today and questions.
Thank you, Mark. Great answer, and sorry about the hot seat there. Mr.
There's
Khan.
a joke there where
Yeah.
there was a glass that was broken earlier, and we're all wondering if we're sitting on broken glass.
A little
right
glass
now.
here, so if anyone jumps up
there's an
quickly.
inside joke up here on that one. If we're a little jumpy, that's why.
Mr. Khan, to that question, you've been a leading defense and supplier for a while. What is the wars in the Europe and Middle East taught you and your organization about disruptive technologies and what's going on right now? What have you learned from that?
In Ukraine, I think we saw the importance of UAV technology again, and in Turkey, we learned these lessons many years ago while we were fighting with terrorists in the northern Syria and northern Iraq. So Turkey respectively developed UAV technologies as a platform early on from many years ago for now, and there was a demand for an local engine. So we developed best-in-class turbo diesel engine a few years back, and it's in the serial production now. We have a few more online. It's developing at the moment. We also working and developing another turbofan engine, possibly could be used for jet powered UAVs in the future in Turkey or outside of Turkey. And this is what we see as a disruptive technology in our area as a UAV technologies at the moment.
No, thank you for that. We all have seen TEI's experience in the past being not just rapidly generating of new technologies, but responding to the call to action.
Yeah, as soon as the demand came, a local engine for power the Turkish UAVs, we developed very quickly a turbo diesel, and it's best in class right now in terms of fuel efficiency or altitude level operation.
No, very impressive. Mr. Webster, from your perspective, from your DoD days and also the chamber, what have you seen and what lessons learned has industry gleaned from?
No, thank you. Yeah, it's an honor to be here. So if we go back to Desert Storm, when Kuwait was invaded and America and allies responded, we did not meet a formidable force, and everything that we had designed in the 70s with industry was proven as effective for the first time on the battlefield. So that was precision-guided munition. That was air defense. Patriot was first. Ground system, Abrams main battle tank, Abrams A1. So we were able to demonstrate that what we had designed and put into production was effective. But we did not meet formidable force. Then you fast forward to Iraq and Afghanistan. It was a very, very different war. And as you saw, we had to really move with the speed of light to adjust, to accommodate a fight in Iraq, which was different than the fight in Afghanistan. The commonality was urban warfare. We developed MRAPs at the speed of light because of the risk of a roadside bomb. It's significant. So that's not high tech. It was a significant threat, low tech threat. The MRAPs that we designed for Iraq were not able to function in Afghanistan, different terrain, so we had to redesign capability for Afghanistan. We moved from basically a flat environment in Iraq to a mountainous environment in Afghanistan, and we were short on CH-47s and heavy lift. So I think, and then now we're looking at Ukraine, and as I think was mentioned, the unexpected success of using commercially available off-the-shelf technology, whether it's Starlink or these commercial small UAS or military capable UAS like Lockheed Martin, right? So what we have seen in the past 20 years is that we have not necessarily anticipated the fight the right way, and therefore we have to be able to work with allied industries and our industries to pivot and adjust very quickly. And I think that is a challenge for America and for the Pentagon, is defining these requirements such that they're adaptable on a moment's notice.
Well, thank you for that. And it's obvious that commercialization and using commercial off the shelf in itself is a disruptive technology. Speed to market, speed to the battle space is something that we're seeing much more now than we've ever had in the past. Dr. Najjar, you've been working collectively with the Turkish defense industrial base, partnering with American companies, et cetera. And so what have you learned from the activities, the wars in the Middle East and Ukraine that's allowing your company to be successful and respond?
I'm glad to be here. Thanks, Greg. So there was a good point that, as he said, in Ukraine case, TB2 Bayraktar came into the scenes, then changed the world in few, in a manner, and then they started in Ukraine case. 2 years left, they started to use FPVs. We know that right now they're procuring millions of FPVs and using it with the first-person UAV. That's a game-changing technology. And with this lessons learned from this, we started using sub-cloud UAVs. And it's light as 30 kilograms, and it's up to 15,000 feet, and then operate in weather conditions like, foggy or, not eligible for tactical UAVs in operation. And we are experiencing this Baha UAVs in Turkish Armed Forces inventory right now. By the time Turkish industry now is getting into disruptive technologies alongside potential collaborations, I'd like to share some remarkable figures about the current state of Turkey's defense industry investments. First of all, in 2002, we started nearly $2.5 million, an increase 20 times, and each reached to $5.5 billion right now. At the last year, this defense and aerospace exports, and the number of companies in the sector starting with 50s in 2002, and then now expanded up to 3,000 companies with the ecosystem, with major defense companies and ecosystem. So that's how we make the new, the challenges and how we succeed in defense industries. Okay.
Thank you very much for that, and appreciate the state of affairs in Turkey. How much, just as to follow along, Turkey is known for being rapid, responsive, and economical. How much is that weighs into the state of the economy? Is that driving
It's not that driving. It's now, according to CIPRI data, recent data, the increased global share from 0.69 to 1.1%. It's about doubled, in global defense.
Thank you for that. It's very impressive.
Mhm.
Mark, Lockheed's one of the world's largest defense contractors and one of the most important. How do you view the future landscape of the defense industrial base, collaboration and partnerships within the alliances and across the globe?
Yeah, thanks, Greg. It really is a dynamic environment there now. I think as we look across the ever-changing landscape of conflict, global conflict, national security needs with our allies and partners, there's a pace here that Keith was referencing before of making sure that we remain on the cutting edge of technology and at the forefront of technology. I think it's so important to the concept of deterrence, and going to your earlier question on lessons learned from Ukraine in terms of ensuring that our allies and partners have the capabilities they need, not just to fight wars, but hopefully deter those conflicts before they begin. And that means ensuring not just next generation technology, ultimately filling those stocks and capabilities, missile defense, fighter aircraft, helicopters, heavy lift, you name it. Those capabilities still remain very, very true today. I think what we at Lockheed Martin see is a vision of 21st century security, where systems need to be more aligned, collaborative, adaptable to those changing needs in a way that's an open architecture, that ultimately all of those who are working together can really contribute to that vision. And expanding beyond traditional primes like Lockheed Martin. Lockheed Martin has thousands of suppliers, many of which are in Turkey, and we use those suppliers to ensure that we're delivering the best quality products we can to the customer. But we need to expand that supplier base into non-traditional industries as well if we're going to satisfy the needs in AI, quantum, and some of those capabilities, next-gen communications, that are going to be a key part of it.
I appreciate that, and it ties right into what we're all trying to achieve here. Dr. Khan, or Mr. Khan, excuse me, TEI is known to be producing some of the region's best technologies. What are the emerging disruptive technology solutions that TEI is currently looking at, and what are you bringing to market?
Okay. Thank you for the question. I think TI is one of the best example of U.S. Turkish Defense Industrial Corporation. In the 1980s, when Turkey bought first F-16 jets, one of the requirement was to assemble those engines in Turkey. Therefore, TI was founded as a joint venture between General Electric, Turkish Aerospace Industries, and Turkish Armed Forces Foundation. Since then, TEI has grown rapidly. Today, our next 15 years sales backlog is over $6 billion, and we are like more than 3,500 employees. Our activity areas, engine design and parts manufacturing, part and module manufacturing, AIT and MROs, and these product design and development. Currently, we are developing Turkey's first indigenous turbofan engine, 10,000-pound thrust pushing. And this engine core could be used for power generation or as a compressor for the oil and gas industry. Could have a multiple use. So in nutshell, this is TEI's and summary what we've been doing and our relationship with General Electric. We also have a great relationship with Rolls-Royce. LHTech is a Rolls-Royce company. They're providing our Turkish attack helicopters engine, CTS 800. We are manufacturing their power turbine module in Turkey in TAİK facility, and we are currently talking with them to add more parts and modules manufacturing in Turkey as well. Last but not least, we recently registered SAM.go in US in order to gain access to US government jobs and contracts. And soon after we registered, we were we were awarded US Navy's engine overhaul contract. This is what very recently. We see a big opportunity here because there are very few countries in the world has the same level of knowledge and experience as TI we have. We are looking forward to more opportunities in the U.S. In this field.
No, thank you. And obviously, I think what you're all echoing each other is in the spirit of cooperation and collaboration. Partnerships are critical, again, not just on the battlefield, but on the shop floor. Keith, over to you. We're seeing a whole new set of hardware being used to fight these current wars. Autonomy is the big theme right now, and we're seeing it not just in the air, but under the water and on the sea. What do you think's driving this, and what are your thoughts on the future of autonomy?
Yeah, so autonomy factors in from primarily two perspectives for the Department of Defense. Under the Obama administration, towards the end of that administration, we debated, in the Trump administration as well, and the current administration, the issue of exquisite versus cheap capability. So F-35 is exquisite, and that has its place, and that's necessary, and thank goodness we have that capability. F-16, in its current configuration, is exquisite, but there's an affordability issue, there's a force multiplier issue. And so having autonomous systems that are relatively inexpensive compared to other things that we design and acquire is a force multiplier. The pressures that we're facing are budget, overmatch, means more of things, and then the cost of maintaining a force, the personnel cost, are driving our requirements, design folks towards autonomy and autonomous systems, given the fact that recruitment is down, the cost of sustaining and training pilots and others is growing, and so a way to accommodate scale, overmatch, and cost is autonomy. And so a current program, recent announcement from the Air Force, is the award of the CCA, or Loyal Wingman Program, to GA, General Atomics, and to Anduril. And that's an example. If you look at the CCA, if you Google that, look at the concept of the Loyal Wingman, or CCA program, as envisioned by the Air Force, led by Frank Kendall, you get a sense of what that means. $60 million buying over 300 platforms, as opposed to one F-35's $100 million. Right. Well worth it. I'm just saying, this is an issue of scale, cost, and overmatch.
No, I appreciate please.
I'll just pick up on that, and I think those are important comments and perspective, and I think the important thing that I would take away from that is that it depends on the mission set that you're trying to achieve, and different platforms, being the manned or autonomous, may or may not suit the specific. So I think it's important that we not overgeneralize when we talk about autonomy over manned platforms. And we also should talk about the need for defensive capability in the environment. That we look at what cheap autonomous is doing at scale and on the battlefield, we're going to have to start investing into technologies that can deal with those that are non-traditional and may very well be exquisite systems, laser weapons and systems, high-powered microwaves. These are new technologies that are out there that are going to be very important to the battle on the defensive side.
Yeah, to that point, I think we've heard last week the challenges even in Ukraine with some of those systems being able to operate in an EW-denied environment, and having that in an unclassed environment, having that you do need some of those higher level systems to be able to operate when the threat becomes as extreme as it is. Dr. Najjar obviously is one of the prominent defense companies in Turkey. What are the products that your company is looking at, and how are you looking at disruptive technologies in the near term?
First of all, I acknowledge that we have a great relationship in the past 20 and more than 20 years with Lockheed, with Boeing, and Rockwell Collins, and others, because we have a software house of Turkey in defense industries, and we have founded in 40 years ago, and we have started many good projects with allies, and we have partnered with Lockheed, for example, F-16 simulation and training program. We had a great, success in that program, and still ongoing. And we hope that with the F-16 Block 70, it's go beyond that. And the program of Skorsky and others in the helicopters program, we also, collaborating with Lockheed, and we are collaborating with Boeing in CH-47 helicopters program. So we have many good relationship with U.S. companies because of most of the systems back in Turkey is about U.S.-made systems. So we try to make interoperability and open standards available. Right now we are going into a new stage, new area. We succeeded on interoperability in Turkish Air Force with the system called HVBS in Turkish, but in Turkish Air Force information systems for resource management and for the operation management, and we got a really good success on that. Right now, so far, more than 100 combat modules and resource management is available, and 80 different locations that we are across using, and over millions items we are managing, and now we are supporting planning, execution, and assessment of more than 2 million sortie up to date, and serves more than 35 people. Now we have a really good know-how and knowledge available in our system, and we wanted to transfer it to NATO X. As you may know, so NATO X system is very, very old-fashioned, and we said our success need to be, shared within NATO countries. And similarly, we have done this such a big know-how in Turkish Navy in case of combat management systems and warfare management system is called Advent. So we are exporting it to few countries, and now it's almost all of the Turkish warships using it with a network-centric capability and common collaboration and common engagement tools. The advanced tools supported by AI and others, we are using it so we can share up to new type of autonomous world, starting from training and simulation experience and supporting with combat management, and making them together, putting them together makes us available for robotic warfare management systems, or robotic armies or robotic unions available. So we have a very good model for that for about 40 years experience. Now we are also making some of the UGVs, unmanned ground vehicles, to support this idea of swarm technology. Now we have hybrid swarms, we have single swarms, swarms of drones, swarms of USVs, surface vehicles. We have swarm of UGVs, and making them hybrid in an operation for single operation. And in urban case, we can have take advantage of it. So So far, I would emphasize that the importance of autonomy and swarm technology will be an AI also, supported with AI, will be the next challenge and next phase in defense industries.
No, I appreciate that, and I can sort of expand when you think about some of the comments that Keith said and Mark said and what you're saying. It's not just collaboration within a system, but it's actually collaboration with an operation. And when you have, let's just say, an F-35 or an exquisite platform being supported by, let's say, more of the UAVs coming from another partner, as a package, you can deliver significantly more effectivity. And it's that type of working together that I think is, makes us stronger as an alliance. A lot of the collaboration that we talk about on the manufacturing side is organic. It's companies working with other companies, getting together and figuring out how the market can drive more efficiency or just quite frankly capacity within a system. Keith, you spent a lot of time, I know you're on the OSD's AUKUS working group right now, and on the Hill and in the department have spent a lot of time in security partnerships, et cetera. What are you seeing as it relates to the NDA 2024 coming through? How does it relate to AUKUS? We're looking at export compliance coming through. That's a key driver in the ability for companies to be able to collaborate. Sort of give us your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think just very quickly, AUKUS Pillar 2, which is not the submarine collaboration, it's everything else. Autonomy, AI, hypersonic, whatever. I mean, they're still working to define that. But in order to fulfill the vision that the administration and the nations, UK and Australia had, all three nations had to pass new legislation, which they've done, and introduced new procedures, which were rolled out this week, for enabling a far more flexible licensing community and regime than anything I've seen in the 35 years I've been doing this. I'm very encouraged by the legislation on the US side that did put timelines and mandates and warnings, if you will, to the administration to not be overly restrictive in this new model. And I think they've done a great job, at least initially. We'll see how it actually implements. But the concept of creating a trilateral open community, industrial partnership community, where you don't need to constantly seek a license to transfer components and to work in a supply chain to enable the kind of freedom industry needs in that model to innovate and to work at scale and to be adaptable as requirements change, is a test for the three of us to see if we can actually put it into motion. So that's the next phase, is how does this implement? And I think we're all encouraged by what we're seeing from both three nations' legislative changes and this week's rollout of intended procedural changes, and now we need to see it actually materialize. What I think it will show, assuming that it is a success, and let's assume that it is that it will give us a new model to build confidence and to expand that kind of liberal licensing environment to other allied relations. So we've got to kind of crawl. We're crawling right now, but I'd like to see us, walk then run with a alliance community where it's a more liberal industrial relationship, where we all assume a higher level of risk than historically we're used to. But I think given everything we're talking about here about threats, pace, scale, overmatch, we're going to have to take more risk.
No, I appreciate that, and it's a good point. I think that one of the limiters is we've all faced coming out of industry is the challenges that we put on ourselves, whether through export compliance. And when countries now are being asked to look at their own stockpiles and say, do we give or do we keep? And the answer is, you got to do both. It absolutely identifies the criticality of our partnerships to be able to expand the industrial base, because it has to be one as an alliance as opposed to individual countries. We just don't have enough people to fly the planes. we don't have enough factory workers right now to be able to produce the kit. So we need to come together, and I think Turkey provides that type of opportunity through its really robust and much more mature industrial base than it has in the last 20 years. Mark, from your perspective, we look a lot of the government's got roles, the private sector has got roles. We talk public-private partnerships. What's your thoughts on the private sector's ability to integrate emerging technologies in the defense ecosystem?
Yeah, I think what's really interesting about this conversation is how much historical context put into that question, how frequently it's been the defense sector that has integrated in the new technology. The model has changed in terms of where the funding may come from and whether or not the defense industrial base is primarily governmental and now more private. History changes the details, but the central core is still there. The defense sector is very much at the cutting edge of integrating those technologies into its system in order to be more effective in the battle space and for hostility. I think as we look across the suite of issues, the hot topics of today that I'm sure all of us in this room are focused on, economy, cloud computing, AI, next-gen telecommunication, all of these things are going to be factors of the sector and our cooperation. I would say that I think there's, again, great opportunity there across the board. You all have mentioned the need for greater capacity in the supply chain, in the industrial base, leveraging new partners, finding new suppliers within that defense industrial base is part of the war, so to speak. If we're not successful in building that allied defense industrial base, we will lose. I heard a term coming out of the Department of Defense recently where it's a competition of coalition. And I think that is so very important. That coalition is really what makes us strong, and our partnerships are what matter most, bringing those technologies.
No, absolutely. And you see the world breaking up on that digital divide, and it's us and them, and the ability to be able to collaborate is hypercritical, and being able to get and share next generation technologies, again, whether it be digital or whether it be mechanical, out to our partners so we can expand is super critical. Mr. Khan, again, there's a lot of suppliers that are here, and Turkish companies are looking to be better partners with the U.S. TEI has done a lot of really good work. Any recommendations you would have for those in the audience looking to partner both with the U.S. government or U.S. other partners, such as Lockheed, that you can share that's been some of your keys to success, so to speak?
Sure. I would like to give a little bit of answer for your previous questions.
Please.
I didn't, mention is the disruptive technology work what we are doing at TAİK. We believe one of the most important disruptive technologies in manufacturing is additive technology. We have been investing in additive technology for a long time now, especially in polymers, metal, and ceramic materials. I wanted to mention this because there is a really good cooperation going on right now with GE. They're having, because of this recent raw material issues, they're having difficulty to produce one of their main components in, I don't want to mention the name of the helicopter line. So there was a search for make with the different technology. So we are working with GE right now to make this mid-frame with the additive technology together with GE, TEI, and actually U.S. Army also involved in this effort at the moment. So my recommendation for U.S. companies, TEI, I am recently assigned, I was assigned to U.S. as a TEI's rep. We are attending all the most conferences on the U.S. and the fairs. So I say that the Turkish companies is really easy to work with, and previously in the morning, this gentleman explained very well that how attainable we are, and very easy to work with, and we are really eager to grow in the U.S. market. I'm looking forward to grow in the U.S. I see a really good opportunities in both sides to grow their business.
No, I appreciate that, and I just see that we're at the top of the hour. And maybe one last question, just real quick to Mark on the same side from your, any lessons learned that you want to share for companies, U.S. companies looking to partner with Türkiye, because you guys at Lockheed have done it so successfully.
Yeah, I'll echo what I said at the beginning, which is quality and cost has been outstanding and exceptional with our partners in Türkiye. I don't suspect that will change in the future. I think more generally what I'd look at is there's a concept of filling gaps. There is no question that there are gaps in the supply chain globally, and filling those needs. What we need now most is resilience in the supply chain and not redundancy. We don't just need another supplier of the same thing. We need suppliers to expand beyond and make sure that we're meeting those next generations. And I think there are opportunities.
Thank you very much. One last thing, Keith, any last words? Dr. Najjar, any last words? Or
Okay. Well, in case of this test beds and working together with adaptable technologies with liberated by licenses, I would say that the NATO ACT would be a good case to use this and explore this type of common technologies. And we are trying to get into, as defense company, NATO, tools that we wanted to increase our commitment to this NATO ecosystem so far. And in this sense, the picture of Turkey producing its own technology now welcome not only in Turkey but also in friendly and allied countries. And now this is how our export potential in defense industries and aviation and aerospace industries increases every year. Regarding the cooperation, I would like to briefly state the following. This issue is primarily a matter of relations between countries, but this would be in between businesses. We can grow our business potentials over the globe. And we have also, I would say, that we also have a United States-owned, the Havelsan-owned, acquired a company in Silicon Valley. It's called Quantum 3D Simulation Visualization Systems that we develop, and working with government systems without any, hesitance, without any problem. That this type of, examples and case studies would be, increase in the future collaboration in between Turkish and U.S. Companies. And also NATO is a very good common work area for both countries and for companies. And we can share know-how, we can work together within this context, I hope.
thank you, sir. And Keith, want to finish us off?
Yeah, I just think fundamentally it's about innovation, it's about quality, and it's about reasonable cost. I think that's the way to get in the door with anyone. And I think on behalf of the Chamber, I want to thank our sponsor, Lockheed Martin.
Well, thank you all, and I think this is why the four of you are such esteemed leaders. Thank you for your leadership and your support on the panel. Let's give them a round of applause.